good day. Welcome again to another Open Gate Show special preview. This time we have a very interesting person. Long time he's in horse racing here, and I don't think most people knows much about this gentleman. His name is Neville Livingston Stultz, aka Beggy. And the Open Gate Show is proud to have this gentleman, this horseman, giving us a preview and how he came in racing and some of his views and what he sees presently. Neville, thank you.
My respect.
Okay. All right. How did you start out in racing from a kid?
In other words, my calling with my mom was marine engineer. I used to really go by a man called Mr. Roger Francis that is up by Mullines Road, a little tree works farm. And by really coming Caymanas Park for drop grass and thing, I really start seeing horses and thing and start mesmerizing my mind. So I forget about sea. I was home, Trevor Mackenzie looked for me and said, well, you go to the track, man. That is a better place for you than really on the street. And one man, Friday man, me and David and David Mackenzie and Trevor Mackenzie stand up at the bus stop waiting for Mr. Williams, that is Billy Williams, to come down. And so that is the first time I really come at the track by myself. And from there, looking around and thing, I never really go back home, more than for clothes and thing and this Caymanas Park.
You, when you came to really start working or starting to stick with a stable, I should say, which stable was that?
I was with Mr. Bobby Yales at first, when he had Scan, Moulin Rouge and some horses for Jack the Stamp. No, around 2-3 horses. And then I need a better, a bigger stable, because after really, riding one horse around the ring, I never have nothing more to do. So the groom named Gilly, him said, go for Jerry, and go for Jerry. And that is how I really take on to Jerry. I never moved from there for really 13 years.
Okay, that's Jerry Skelton.
Yes, please.
Great horseman, Englishman, is he?
Yeah, one of the best.
Yes, and a lot of trainers have learned a lot, and grooms have learned a lot from Jerry. I remember coming into horse racing with Philip Fiani and Wayne Acosta, and Jerry Skelton's stable was just in front of us, and Jerry admired Philip Fiani. And he had projected that Fiani would be a great trainer. But tell us about your days at Jerry.
My days at Jerry was really exciting because there I really start looking after my first horse, that horse called Praise Be. And after looking after Praise Be, she teach me how to really balance and everything. She was such a beautiful minded horse that I start really cantering she first before even thinking about riding, you know what I mean? And after Praise Be, I start really school horses like Cardam, Blue, Mirror Popping, and then work myself into the stable. That even matters them as a big jockey, then I was the one who really preparing the horses them for them riding.
Well, you started the right way, the original way. In the past, the jockeys they stayed at the stable and they get more familiarized with the horses. Well, from what I know, Emilio Rodriguez, George Osang, David Mackenzie, and scores of our top jockeys. Unlike now, where that is not the case.
No.
But you rode at Caymanas Park. Let's hear about that.
Yeah, my riding stint would begin in 1970 when a man called Mr. Freeman, because Jerry Skelton was going to apprentice no more fella, because he had a real affliction with Charlie Gassin. And then he said to me, get somebody to apprentice you, because I ain't going to apprentice you no more, boys. So I went by Mr. Eddie's here because I used to work like what's your name again? My Hero and all the masters, the theme, Kitty Wake and all them things. So that is how I really start really by adapting to a different strain and a different stable. I was apprenticed to Mr. Freeman. But then again, I had a bit of, well, I would say, confrontation with the law, because after really exercising one morning, I run inside the stand for really get away from the crowd. And while really sit down in the stand, them say police, and the next thing I really gone to jail. It's a possession of ganja, which I never really even have a split, much less.
You were a groom at first. As a matter of fact, all the original jockeys.
Wait, we had to really groom horses, because if you don't really start picking out style and reel and teach about the horse flesh, you would never know the horse.
Tell us about the grooming, well, not the grooming. Tell us about how it was with grooms then compared to now.
In other words, I'm going to really store some heads, you know, when really saying this, but a man with like 10-year or 15-year experience, a man who come in the game 2 years or 3 years could never really get that type of wages than the professionals. But it really changed overnight, where everyone really just acquire the same wages, so everyone is on the same level.
Well, you know, there will be always the same, the good old days. And I can imagine now, compared to say 20, 30 years time, if we're gonna regard presently that this is the good old days. I mean, it seems that things are getting worse in all aspects of life. But you had a stint in Trinidad, then Barbados, then England. Tell us about those.
No, before really opting to that, because the question really goes back to what really was the meat of the matter in that time to this time. In other words, horses was well fed. The feed that really you feed horse with in that time was nutritious. This feed is just really one way, one feed is just throw something in a pan and horse eat, and then drink water and then eat grass and yeah.
Well, that's why I say the good old days, things were much better then.
Because we had oats in the system.
Yeah, I remember that. But, you know, we don't want to get in a trouble with the feed companies.
No, but then again, they'll try charging this exuberant amount for a bag of feed, which gone to $2,000.
Well, so be it. We can't
really
change
do anything.
what we
It's the
can't.
time, yeah.
But those experiences in those 3 places outside of Jamaica, you know, I'm very anxious to hear what you have to say.
In other words, I was here and Mr. Dabdo really look at me and say, Beggy, you know, I have a friend him really coming up here and I want you to meet him. And I said, well, yeah, I'm going to really put myself in line. And when I meet this gentleman, his name was Edmund de Freitas, which he was one of the best jockeys in Trinidad with Venice Richards and Challenger Jones and all those guys, you know. And when him look at me and say, well, yeah, I got a good job, you know, I have a beautiful stable and my things really is up there, so I don't like to really join me, you know what I mean, because Mr. Dabdo really recommending you. So I said, cheers and thanks very much. So I really go to Trinidad and was in Trinidad with Mr. De Freitas for around 2-3 years. And then after that, I came up. And when I came up, Joe did really telex me and tell me because him same was, he was to speak to me. But I really never wait to speak to him. I really come back home. But him get on to me by phoning me one day and we had a good talk and him said, well, yeah, I wouldn't like to join my team because you're really a good rider. So I joined Joe did, and while joining Joe did, I was there for around 2 years. And then one morning, Joe went on a holiday, and then when him come back, I was really riding this filly called Sandbat. And she went good for a 5 furlongs in the morning, and impressive enough him really come off for him stick and really I passing him. And the next time thing I know is boop, and Joe really got kicked.
Woo, man.
Break 6 ribs, put him in intensive care for like 8 months. And I just really had it, because everywhere I really go, them says Jamaica make Joe got kicked. So I just leave Trinidad one time and really went to Barbados. Well, I come to Jamaica, so Dabdu say, I send in some ass where you go to Barbados, I really want you to go to Barbados. So when I really went to Barbados, where I class called King of the Road, I bought it from Aswell, so I really traveled it down for them, and I was there with a man called Mr. Gittins. Yeah, I was there for around 2 years with Mr. Gittins, and him loved me as well for really see how I really administrate to horses. And then I really come home, and when I come home, Sugar Miner look for me and tell me, say, Beggy, you alone are go there in the yard now because we are going to England. That was 1986, July 1986. And after that, I just really, I had to go to England. So book the ticket and them fly out the Wednesday. I leave the Thursday. Went to some reggae do and thing in England before really. I was really with my aunt. And then I really make a contact with a man named Mr. Pierce because I seen the Sporting Life where wanted exercise rider weighing below 9 stone 7. So I make the application and he said, come on down and see. But when I went down to Mr. Pierce only had some jumpers. He wasn't a flat yard. And then he said to me, you look to be a very intelligent person, well-mannered. I'm going to really recommend you to a trainer. So anytime we finish breakfast, I'm going to really take you over to Mr. Han. I'm going to give him a call right away and telling him I'm bringing somebody interested to meet him. So by this now, after breakfast, and we ride out few lots for him and finish the lot them and groom them, take over the masses. We start journey over to East Everly, meet Richard Annan. And after really meeting Richard Annan, he was a person that I really met in Trinidad. Yeah. But just really recalling back everything and him say, oh, you was with Joe. Joe was my friend. And that's how I really come to really in Annan now. Annan was really training and like 75 horses in 1986 when I really went there. I was in around August because I was in England from June, July, August. And when I really see everything and go down there and started out with Annan. Well, I had quite a good bit of winners looking after really horses and riding out and going to the races. Yeah. And another good bit of horses. So the following season we was training probably 200 horses. The following season, which was 87, we won the 2,000 Guineas, so don't forget me. I had a horse called Indian Jubilee who in 4 and 12 days, which Channel 4 trophy went to me. In other words.
Well, you mentioned winning 4 races in 12 days. Richard Harlan, I can remember a very good trainer, famous, and but going back to the point in four races in 12 days, and I must remind fans that those races weren't really sprinting, but the European way, the English way of training horses and dealing with horses and grooms and jockeys, it's far better than what we're accustomed to in the Western times, because we usually have horses in Jamaica that run twice in one race in one day and winning both, even with 133 pounds and thereabout. Gold Diver was one of them, I remember. And but tell us more about Richard Hannon, your better times there.
Well, in other words, by Hannon, it was really exciting because we had quite a
Large.
and the small lads they really cling to me. Like Alan Monroe, he was there with a stint, and few little more riders, like Greg Hills. Quite. But what really take place is that while I was there, I really learned quite a bit. And the quite a bit that I really say is that I had to be in charge of 50 horses because we start training 300 after a time now. Because the Sheikh come in, Khalid Abdullah, Sheikh Mohammed, and we had Jim Horgan from Ireland, which he was the owner, Indian Jubilee, in 4 and 12 days. Brian Rouse was my jockey. And then, I had to see what really was outside. So after really Hannah decided, so we're going to go to Lambourne, and when I really went to Lambourne, no one really never knew I leave the stable. I just really started driving one day and find myself in a Lambourne, and I went by barrels, and by barrels, something struck me, and I decided I was going to work with John Ellis because Barry was leaving to Mountain, and there was quite a nice bit of area to really live on all them things there, because in Hannon is like we live in a dormitory, and for a man like me really living with so many kids, you know what I mean? I had to look at change. So when I really went by Barry and I get the job, and John Hills was a trainer, I was looking after Lucky Straw, which I'm away to Nottingham. I had a jockey really with my first runner called Robert Street. Robert Street didn't win a race in nearly 3-5 years. And this is my jockey, and I really tell everyone that really, Street is going to do it today. We are on the street or nothing, and we're going to create a mass. And Street will win the race by around 8-9 lengths with it, with the filly. And after that, now, I got a nice colt by Alzio. His colt name was Cook's Gores. I schooled the sauce, and when I schooled the sauce, really take him to Sandown. I had a good win in Sandown. I had a good win in Windsor in our night meeting. And we come back to Sandown Park, which him asked me who I want to ride him. I said Ray Cochran. I wouldn't ask for no more jockey because Michael not riding here today. I'm riding at Doncaster. So I had the option of really getting Ray Cochran for really ride the sauce now. And when the horse really win and pass, the winning post was on all fours flying. So when Ray come back around to John Hills in the saddle near Sandown, him look on John and say, who schooled the horse? And him say, see him there, that is his horse. From a baby, him schooling that. And well, I had quite a few winners, and then I had to move on because I really want to go to Lambourne. And then Breaker, which was Marvel Francis, who was the most apprentice jockey out here. Eddie Brown, who won with a horse called Trick Track, which Miss Click apprenticed him. And the trio was in the stable in Newmarket, And I really, so well, yeah, I had to live close by, even when we really working in the same yard in a Lambo and all them things, I had to really move somewhere. So I got a job with Bill Gormans, and they opened a track called Sudwell. When Sudwell was open, I had a horse called Dr. MacArthur. We had 11 seconds before I really could have a win with him, but he was so straight. And then after Dr. MacArthur, I was there really ping-ponging. And then African chimes come around, school African chimes haven't really flying because the masters are really coming still at 3. Yeah? So you could do anything with them school and everything already. So all you had to do is just really put on the fine tune on him, put in some oxygen in the muscle and thing and rub him up on it, you know what I mean? Down the brush and thing, the action, the whole works. So by this now I win 12 races with African chimes in Southern with them Gormans as a jockey.
That's good.
I won the Sprint Cup, the Newmarket Sprint Cup with a horse called Nick the Brief. And yeah.
But I heard you speak of Newmarket, and Nottingham, and Sandown, etc., etc. Did you have an encounter with, say, Lester Piggott, Pat Edry, Willie Carson?
Willie was my friend because even when Willie was going really win, we don't forget me. I tell him he couldn't lose. I say if this horse get beaten in 126 and 3/5, go 7 furlong and him debut at this was at Windsor. And 2,000 guineas running in Newmarket. So what really take place, I said, well, really, there's no way them can beat you. You won in 126 and 3/5 get beat as a 2-year-old. And I'm in fine fettle. Because we really cut out a thing, in other words, right? We was in a yard a really reason and the trainer start really, going upon him watch and yearn for you stopwatch and things. So we had a gallop one man with a horse called a refrigerator. It was a big horse, man. Him could turn over beautiful, but him just really was too slow. Yeah? And well, he had a beautiful gallop the morning with a refrigerator. And apparently what really take place is that Indian Jubilee, she was in the gallop as well that morning. And when I tell Willie, say, well, he won't lose a race, him say, beautiful. I've be coming out to do that.
Willie Carson was a huge favorite in Jamaica. Everybody loves Willie Carson.
Loves Willie.
From what I perceive about him, he was a very nice person, easy to get along with, and maybe give a lot of a joke.
Yeah,
Tell us something about Willie Carson that you remember.
It's like meeting a joker, you know what I mean? Yeah, or a clown. He was just the type of person who just loved joke, and it was jovial, with everyone. Going back to Leicester, when I used to really over by Jerry, Leicester used to come and visit us. So I was not a stranger to Leicester when I was really in Hamilton Road and pop over in my house more times than often, you know what I mean? Because I love to really have a reason back in the days, even when I'm ride IOU and all them thing there, and well, he had a ride on Sovereign Bell one day, and going a mile and quarter, and Glenford Walker really had migrant, and the two of them was ding dang, ding dang, ding dang, ding dang from this go. So that is how really Glenford Walker get the name of Sad Lead.
Okay.
Yeah, because apparently Leicester said, well, he's going to be a very beautiful rider. Yeah? And moving on, I was accustomed to even that jockey that used to come ride Kingpin. Let me call him again, Bob Curran.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to really, when I was in Lambourne, I wasn't living far from Bob, and well, a nice sauna, and the sauna it was something, you know what I mean, and whiskey and things, so something else.
Jamaica in the time had some great horses, great sprinters. You know, for example, well, there are so many, but name those in your time that you considered not top horses, but great horses and top sprinters.
Well, fancily enough, well, really, when I really come in racing at the time, I used to hear them say the fastest little horse was Black Magic. and she was a F-class horse, but when the gates go, she'll be probably 4 or 5 lengths before every horse couple up. And it's one name you hear back to the winning post, the Black Magic. But then again, when you're speaking about, horses with top class ability, I used to really happen for really depend on a little filly called Mary Poppin. And she's the only horse who really get touched with and none such really good fight. Cleveland Suki rider and she really go for it. Trevor Mackenzie rider, she go for it. So then Cardam Blue come over again, But then again, when I really look back to Rinsky and Job, all the horses, there were some beautiful horses.
Speaking about Mary Poppins, I didn't see her run, but I heard that she was very fast. But in my time, the Super Doshas, Brockton, Jackson, Newport West, those horses were lightning fast out the gate. You were here in Jamaica then when those horses?
Yeah, because the whole of them horses really come at Jerry Skelton. Frank Watson carried them come and to me, the pick of the whole pack was Miss Lou. You can remember when Joseph Bravo really shake Frank Watson and them take away the race that day.
Oh yes, I remember, yes, his wife shook the hand with the jockey.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, it's really something that I want to say, and I don't mean any harm, but the previous promoters, Frank Watson, who ran racing, Eddie Lai, and those people, they brought on a lot of horses from the States and even in England to bolster the
whole industry.
The whole industry, yes. For example, we love to see the horses pass in the post twice in those long distance races, and it really brought a lot of
excitement
and new fans into the game. But time has changed, and we are lacking in with horses going 2 turns now. Not much horses are staying, not only here but in the United States as well. What's your take on the reason why we're not having horses that are staying a distance of ground?
We have a big problem, big problem, because even if we really have, so well in Britain, if you really have a horse and just come down with a treacle, even the mother that really threw that horse would never really throw another horse in Britain.
Blood?
Yeah, just a little treacle. Yeah. You get rid of it and send it to the States because they use Lasix and Butte. But then again, when we look on our industry and look to see where we are coming from, and I tell you, I really stand up one day and say, it's called Nancy. You remember, well, you wouldn't really know about it. And Nancy run 2.5 for a mile and quarter as a 2-year-old.
That's good.
You can ever really see another 2-year-old going a mile and quarter in Jamaica?
Yeah, 2.5.
2.5 for a mile and quarter. Tarot Toes and Nancy came here. Well, Frank Watson bring them and him had to really carry them to Trinidad. And then we really start really importing some good stock from England. Including Zalukos, because Zalukos used all a Burnham would mirror them make himself a champion.
Oh yes, so true.
And if you really look into say, well, yeah, the horse that Vineyard George had name he was a nice horse. Yeah, but I think the English stock was the pick of everything.
They still do, but it's very expensive to get horses from England to Jamaica. They have to stay in the States for quite a while, and of course it's a lot of money. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say the hierarchies of the breeding industry. They're lacking. I'm sure they could create a way where we could get a better means of getting those horses who are there. If they're stairs, I'm speaking of the horses in England or in Europe. If they're stairs, their progenies will stay, and if they're sprinters, they will sprint. I mean, you can rely on that. But nowadays, those from in the Western Hemisphere here, they will have strong strain lines, and they can't get beyond 6 furlongs. And you know, it's gonna make a great impact in due time on the racing industry, because you know these sprinting races are not much exciting. They're good for betting, but not really exciting to draw new fans, new interest into the game.
Oh, well, to say this, in other words, is what the promoters or what the breeders really think about everything in it. Because, in other words, when we look at the breeding industry, we see more horses coming from America. They're not really sprinkling. We don't see any competition with studs or stallion from Europe coming this side no more. So it's as if claiming system is here to stay. And half of the racing public is on the street because they're not really going to cope with the claiming system. Not everyone really want to know that the mass really leaves to over the Costa and the Diafiani or somebody else claim it. There's a lot of people really hold on to them things and really think that them things is genuine enough that them can really, you know, enjoy themselves in the game. But it's not the enjoyment, it's just one big business.
Well, everything nowadays is a business, and the businessman, the business mind will make business action. And, you know, sometimes it goes against
the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
But business is business, you know,
Yeah,
regrettably.
business.
And, you know, for me, the horse racing, it's not as exciting anymore. I mean, you know, the claiming system has caused a lot of negatives. Yes, it has some positives too, but, you know, what is to be will be. And, you know, I won't say much more. But when you return from England, coming back to your homeland, what do you have any regrets coming back to Jamaica? Or?
No, I couldn't, because here's where I really was really originated, and when I come back I really line up back with my whole teammate them, like those family, which from day one, you know, even when Charlie ride them first win a freezing fast the 19th of September 1971, you know what I mean? Him ride the winners and several winners after that, but that was the fastest horse that him really sit on in that time. Yeah, yeah. And when we look on the whole thing, being with Mr. Hosey and, you know, getting into the whole thing, school and Hosey, and yeah, everything started really coming twofold, you know. But then again, yeah, something really just changed up the whole system.
What was your most memorable moment in Jamaica, from a youth stage? Doesn't matter when, but what moment would you say was some you will never forget?
The first and foremost, first memorable moment to me was a guy called Irvin riding a horse called Wonder Maker. Leaving the half mile, Wonder Maker really broke the leg. No, it wasn't Wonder Maker, it was God of Honor. God of Honor, nice sweet chestnut horse, broke the leg at the 5 furlong. And that really, yeah, it struck me a lot, because a lot of we really run across the field for really go look on God of Honor, really, and Irvin. And in those days, well, jockeys was really more disciplined to the game than really, yeah. a man get a license and him really riding and him can't take off the weight because him really keep on really fooling around with other things that really is against really calories. So him keep on putting on more calorie, more weight. So you had to disappear in the long run.
Well, there's a way. I'm one person who I'm not afraid to learn, and I'll ask questions on anything to do with horse racing. And there's a reason, say in Canada, and even in the United States, why the weight allotment will stop at, say, 115 pounds, and then you have 118, 119 upwards, because a good jockey will get a lot of good rides. And for an 11 race program for a jockey to ride in 9 races, it's not easy, especially when he has to sweat or diet in a way to maintain his weight to ride. With these handicapping system that we have here, with horses carrying 102, 103, 104, thereabout, and a few are carrying, say, 119, 126, you will have the Omar Walker or the Robert Halladine or Dane Nelson getting those rides. So the Trevor Simpsons and those guys, and the Simon Husbands and what we would have here, they can't get in the ride. So in the winter, we usually have a lot of Jamaican jockeys coming back to ride. But because of the weight system there, they'll have to diet and have to go through some rigorous training to be in accordance with the weight allotments here. So I can't see the reason. They're making so many changes. So I can't see the reason why they don't push the scale up, so that we'll have those guys coming in the winter to ride. And even if they come, most of them don't ride. They just holiday, and they would love to ride. What's your take on that?
Well, in other words, I've seen this really being a thorn in the side of a jockey. In other words, there was Raymond Still, Des Colin, George Duffield,
L.C.
Parks, even Bob Curran. Those guys used to come here.
Joe Mercer.
Yeah, but Joe's just passing through.
Yeah.
In other words, when Des Colin got suspended because he had some slap at in little indication. In other words, some an horse called Rangag and Raymond Still an horse called Horror, and him come in between the two of them, kick out the foot out of there and really rock them to the line. In other words, them take away the race from Sammy. So well unprofessionally,
Mm.
But at the same time, Des Colin really, they say, well, Des was the one who intimidated him to shuffle, you know what I mean? So apparently they give Des Colin 2 months. In other words, after finishing the holiday stint and Des Colin go back to England, him couldn't really submit to his contract, so that really threw him out and showed. So the jockeys are scared to come here to really even have a little holiday, because something like that will go down, and when them go back to retainer, not going to really be pleased about it, because he had to be really looking for another rider to really replace that. So coming on a holiday, it can be a monster.
Going back to what I was trying to emphasize about people who have the power in horse racing, including the promoter and the Jamaica Racing Commission. They're dormant in the area where they're not seeking, a way to build a jockey colony, and most importantly, the racing horse population. Yes, people are saying, bring better brood mares, etc., in that area, but that's going to take about 3-4 years for those horses to race. I mean, to the level that we would like. But the Open Gate Show definitely has to applaud former promoting bodies under Eddie Lai and Frank Watson, and the likes, who really brought a huge inflow of horses, sprinters and stayers to help, make
yeah,
the whole
in
thing.
other
And it's a
words-
business. They're not going to lose. Whoever does it, the promoting company, especially Supreme Venture Racing,
In
they're
other
not
words,
going to lose.
during the time that I really see this action going is that I used to have Turf Club, Caymanas Park Limited, and Jockey Club. In other words, there was a 3-month stint. You race for 3 months, your club, and then there's a month in between, or probably 2 weeks in between before the next program is lined up. You see what I mean? So there was always a month in between each month. And the horses them really get to really refreshing themselves and, get sprucey and come again.
The interesting thing is, Beggy, in those days, there weren't much people gambling as there are now.
No.
So where is the input to try to maintain or try to even make better the horse racing industry? What are they going to have? 2 furlongs and 4 furlongs and 3 furlong races and 5 furlong races? Yeah, it's going
In
to...
other words, you ask me this question and I'm going to really put where the nail should be really. In other words, a man really put out the money to buy a horse for 5 million.
Yeah.
He's going to really pay that trainer $3,000 a day to really train, keep and care the horse. In other words, the groom, his ability is going to speak now because he had to really turn around the horse from just really a baby to something looking like a racehorse in 6 months.
True.
Anyhow, he can't really do that. You had to get rid of him. There's it that man really paying $3,000 to really a day to really maintain his really business as usual. And him have 20. But then again, the purse money is so meager. What can you, the owners, really do to really find a better way of really having a good purse money? Because it's trash.
Well, Supreme Ventures Racing Entertainment Limited, we have to give them time. And, I am optimistic that the purse money pretty soon will reach a level that, we'll be comfortable with. And, so this year is a very pivotal year for the promoting company because there are a lot of implementations that they have already made and it is bearing fruits. As a matter of fact, the fixed odds betting and the possibility of an Australian horse racing group or person to bring in to our horse racing complex quite a number of horses. Surely that would be great, and we are hoping that can come to fruition. But every day we get older and time is moving so fast, and yes, we are so anxious for that. And for me, I would love that these projections that were made regarding fixed betting as well as the inflow of Australian horses coming here, that it will be seen within, hopefully by say June.
Yeah, but then again, if we really go back into the whole thing, let us be clear about it. In other words, a man really projecting probably 10 horses into the game. And while he really doing that, he can't have a good takeout. You get me? Because
True.
when him really win a race, it can't really cover an expense. And him have 6, 7, 10 horses in training, and him have 20 in the field. You don't give him no encouragement. You see what I mean? Him going to really put something in the seal, and whatsoever him really get feet, him take it. You know what's going on?
Well, I agree with you.
That is what's going on.
Yeah.
He's not really going to really stipulate because him have 20 in the field.
I agree with you, but I can tell you, their goal, the joy of winning a race and taking pictures with your family and friends. That one our glory. Nothing can compare
Beautiful,
it.
nothing.
But you know, Neville, on that we're gonna end this interview, and you know, the Open Gate Show really appreciate you taking your time and exposing your views as well as your stint from years ago coming into the horse racing industry and really making an impact. I'm surprised of what I just heard from you, and you know, it's a pity that your experience and your good values with horses are not really seen and are not really being utilized by some of our top trainers. So
Well, to say this, I just really reached 70 years old. I don't even really know what the future going to say about, you know, because saying to really spend 50 odd years in an industry and don't really even have a pension, and several of all who really leave here never really die without even getting a pension.
well, we have to go, but let me tell you this. We have leaders and we have leaders. And, you know, it seems that we'll forever be talking about, in horse racing, pensions and things of the sort
Salary and
that will, make everyone happy. But, you know, I thank you very much. That was Neville Livingston Stultz, also known as Beggy, in one of many Open Gate Show specials that we will be bringing to you. Remember, tell everyone to subscribe. It's easy that way, it's better. And, you know, nothing is for free, and we have to keep expanding. And it takes not only time, but it costs to bring you so much on local horse racing, and trying to maintain that the Open Gate Show is the #1 way to go for you and all. That's it.
Thank you very
And
much.
my respect, and have a beautiful day.